Hello, welcome everyone to the June Knowledge Management webinar with APQC. Today our topic is AI in Action, Transforming Knowledge Capture and Retrieval. And I'm Linda Broxick. I'm the research lead for knowledge management here at APQC. And just to remind everybody that we are recording today, there will be slides and the recording available to you within 48 hours, and they will be sent to you if you're attending today. But those resources, along with an in-depth article that provides a summary of today's discussion, will also be available in our resource library at apqc.org in just a few weeks. So keep an eye out for that. I'm also joined today by a very special guest. I have Badu Bousseau here from the Canadian Medical Protective Association, and he is going to be sharing his story in just a couple of minutes. Now, you have to know a little bit about Badu. He's a very fascinating knowledge management person. So he is the manager he's a knowledge manager at CMPA, as I said. He brings 15 years of experience in KM solutions design and business process improvement. He has multiple certifications in knowledge management, and I'm going to call out that he has APQC's Certified Knowledge Transfer Specialist certification, and he's established himself as a thought leader in KM. He actually specializes in knowledge capture and transfer, knowledge-based design, content management, work management, and AI stewardship, among other things. He has helped to drive innovation, collaboration, and excellence through effective KM. And finally, which is really one of the very fascinating things about you, Badu, is that he is a communications professional and a language engineer with proficiency in multiple languages. And that's why he really brings this really unique skill set and perspective to the field of knowledge management. And he just shared with us before we started today that he's a translator by trade. So we got into a really good discussion around how translation and culture and all of that is such a big impact on KM. So more to come on that topic in the future, and I think we'll be bringing Badu back for that going forward. The last thing I'll say is that he was also a speaker along with one of his colleagues at our 2024 conference last year. So maybe you caught him there as well, and we hope to have him back in the future. So before I turn it over to Badu, just a couple of things I want to share with you, as I always do in our webinars, about some upcoming opportunities and just a couple of pieces of research to really set the stage for why we asked Badu to come and share his story today on AI and his organization. So just to share with you, we've got a roundtable discussion, very timely, coming up in just 2 weeks. So if you're a member of APQC, we're going to have a more in-depth discussion, and it's going to be on the topic, again, of AI and knowledge management. So this month, we're kind of making it our focus area to talk about AI. So if you have a story to share or you want to come and learn from others, please join us for the roundtable discussion. They're always really, really insightful. We have a couple of webinars throughout the summer. We don't take a break. We're going to be talking in July about our research on the future of knowledge management as a profession. What do those skill sets look like? How might that be changing for the future? So come and check that out. And then in August, we're going to bring back the topic of communities of practice because we have some late breaking research that we haven't even published yet, but it will be out there by the time we have our webinar. And we've invited back Stan Garfield to share his insights on that research as well. So should be a really exciting summer. And then of course, we always have certification training going on. So if you're looking into something like that, please check out APQC's certification options. It's great, focused on best practices and really, really well delivered. Okay, so let's jump into a couple of pieces of research before I pass it off to our guest today. As always, I like to remind people why we're focusing on specific topic areas. And this is these next couple of slides are from our 2025 KM priorities research that we do, and we do it every year. And this year, the business priorities that our KM practitioners told us they're really focused on 2 years in a row now is that operational efficiency and process improvement. Now, if you add the productivity piece along with that, look how big that is. What an opportunity for KM to focus on improving the efficiency and the productivity within our organizations with our solutions. And then second is obviously the digital transformation and building that intelligent enterprise. So how do we do it with technology? How do we keep those principles of foundational KM in place as well, because we still are there to ensure that we're making sure knowledge flows through the organization. And I always like to say what our knowledge management fellow Cindy Hubert always says, and she says, set yourself apart. KM is a unique adds a unique contribution because we focus on knowledge and how it flows and what are those gaps and what are the potential losses of knowledge that we need to focus on for the future, and think about it from that perspective and how you can help improve the efficiencies in the organization, continuous learning, decision making, and all of that through our knowledge flow processes. Okay. Second thing I want to mention is those opportunities that knowledge management practitioners mentioned in our research, or our priorities research was, hey, we're looking at new technology like AI. It's number one. It's what's on the radar right now. How do we do that? How do we do that? I'm going to say not only to help KM scale and deliver more value, but it's really about helping the organization and the business deliver more value, leveraging technologies like AI. And number two and number three are this is what KM is about, right? People get frustrated with chaotic and disorganized information. How do we help them with that? How do we surface the right content when they need it? And big topic right now, and we're going to have some research coming up on this as well, and that is the mass retirements we're going to see in the baby boomer generation, right? Those folks that are going to be retiring in the next 3 to 5 years. What are we doing to identify that critical knowledge before it walks out the door? So lots of things that AI can focus on, and KM. And then finally, here's those technologies that our practitioners told us are going to be important in the next 3 years. The intelligent enterprise is definitely here, and this is what we will be focusing on. So generative AI for those new pieces of those new artifacts and content, as well as continuing to focus on being able to recommend and surface existing content for our users and our employees so they can work more effectively. So just a little bit of research, really, really fast. I know I threw that out there quickly, but just to set the stage for Badu as he begins to share his journey within his organization as it relates to AI and knowledge management. So I'm going to turn it over to you. Let me just flip the slide sharing here. You should have control now.
Yes, I do.
All
Thank
right.
you.
Thank you and welcome, Badu.
Thank you so much, Linda. And thank you, everybody, for joining us. I see that people are joining us from all over the world. So it's exciting, it's scary at the same time. Really happy to be here today to talk to you about my journey, our journey, with AI and how it applies to KM. I'm going to start telling you about the journey by telling you a little bit of story. In the beginning, there were people and then they started working, they started living as communities and living together, interacting, doing business. Then they figured that they needed processes to facilitate those transactions and those interactions. Then they figured that they needed tools to manage and automate those transactions and interactions. Now, at the same time, they were developing a set of rules, customs, norms, etc. Those you can refer to as culture. They were also generating lots of data, information, knowledge through change. That is the reality of knowledge management. That's what we do. But that's also how humans live, how we live as humans. So, what do we do in KM? We leverage people, processes and technology to create value. So Linda mentioned that the importance of creating value, but it's also important to keep in mind that culture is the undercurrent. It's always important to not forget that. Now, what happens when KM itself goes through the same change, meaning we deal with technology that's going to change the way we do KM. We need to practice what we preach, meaning we need to focus on people, our people, the processes and technology. And that is what's happening right now with this exciting new technology known as artificial intelligence, which can be generative, agentic, or otherwise. In the face of this new technology, then we need to figure out a few things. How did we get here? What do we need to know? What do we need to do? Now, I'll give you a little bit of a historical background very quickly about how technology has impacted KM over time. Uh, I'm going to refer to this as the major comings of technology within the KM sphere. The very first one that I have identified is maybe the invention of the printing press. That was huge because it changed the way people processed knowledge. The second one is what I would refer to as the advent of the electronic age. When documents became electronic and we started sharing them, having those drives and those folders that we could refer to, we could go to networks and all of that. The third one is the internet age that kind of upended everything. Now, the fourth major coming is AI. So AI is upending the way that we do things, specifically in knowledge management. Uh, in order to grasp that, let's take a look at the situation. So that's where I want to start. So, what are the current challenges of knowledge management or in knowledge management? After I deal with that, I'll start telling you about the benefits of AI. So AI is here. Then what do we do? First of all, what can AI do for KM? Are there other uses of AI in KM? Then we'll talk strategy because in everything we do, we need to have a strategy. I usually joke with knowledge management learners that, as knowledge management practitioners, you are walking strategies. In a way, you don't even need to write down the strategy because when you talk to people, you're always strategizing, which is really important. So in that, we'll see what strategies we can use for AI integration. Then how do we build use cases? So that was really important. Then we'll talk about the key success factors and the importance of content. If we have a little bit of time, we'll talk about prompt writing because it's really important. Maybe that's something that you've already dealt with. And then I'll give you a typical KM journey in AI KM journey. I'll finish with some practical advice, which I call the outlook. Now, what is the situation? What are we dealing with? What is the problem? That's where we start every time we something major happens. For us in knowledge management, we're dealing with this new exciting technology called artificial intelligence. Uh, how did we get here? What challenges do we currently have? Uh, we deal with tons and tons of information, and there happens to be information overload and siloed knowledge. People have their own thing that they hide or that they don't hide on purpose, but no, not everybody has access to the information. There's also difficulty in capturing tacit knowledge. Linda talked about that. How do you surface knowledge? Or what do you do not to let the knowledge walk out the door if someone retires or moves on? There's also limited access to relevant information for decision makers. Decision makers can be everybody. Agents, if you are in a context in a customer service situation or context, it could be leaders. So all of that is important to take into account. And there's also the quality of the information. Is it consistent? Is it accurate? All of those things are very important to keep in mind, and that's the situation we're dealing with right now because we have tons and tons of information, and all of that comes with a set of challenges. The other thing I wanted to mention here, in terms of the situation, is that there are limitations when it comes to approaches we've been using with traditional KM. Now, I'm not talking about the principles because the principles are sound and they stand, but the tools that we've been using. So everything has been manual up to this point. We talked about the electronic age, so that's changed things a little bit. But then it just augmented the problem because we are left with a lot of information. And then knowledge retrieval becomes an issue. So how do you retrieve knowledge efficiently without getting people confused? And that's been the $64,000 question for a lot of organizations. When people tell you, well, I'm trying to find this document or this topic, I can't find it. What do I do? Keyword search technology has been what we've been using now. And as we'll see, AI is kind of changing everything. So there's a paradigm shift. I call that the search paradigm shift. We're going from keyword search to something else, which I'll share with you shortly. And that's where AI actually becomes important for knowledge management. Why? We can look at the benefits that we can derive from AI-powered KM. First of all, in terms of analyzing data, and I know everybody understands here that in knowledge management, we start with data, then we move to information, then we move to knowledge, then we move to wisdom or business intelligence, whatever you want to call it. But in the beginning, there was data, and that's data that will become content. So AI has this capability of analyzing data and mining it to identify hidden patterns. It can also help automate content curation because that's a big problem. We're always dealing with content lifecycle issues. If AI can help identify those issues, and then if we can automate how we take care of content without even having to spend too much time being involved in manual work, that can be very useful. The other thing, and this is where it's really interesting, that's where I was talking about the paradigm shift, the search paradigm shift. We're going from keyboard search, which is you use keywords, keyword search, we're using keywords, and now we're using what's called natural language processing, meaning users can ask natural questions. What is the quantity I need here, and then the AI tool will go in and then find that answer and then give you a straightforward answer with all the details needed, as opposed to using keyword search, where you have to think of all the combinations that will get you to the right answer. Now, technology has evolved, and at some point, we talked a lot about semantic search or intelligent search. So there are a lot of companies out there that have been toying with that, but it's been manual up to this point. AI is completely changing the game, and that's huge for us when it comes to knowledge retrieval. The other important thing is the increase in accuracy and consistency. I kind of alluded to it early on. With the ability for AI to go in and then find all hidden insights and information, it can only increase the accuracy of what the information that we present. Specifically, because we want to talk about how AI can impact knowledge capture. There's a lot that AI can do. We can extract content automatically. It can sift through documents, emails. You can put all of them together, write a nice prompt, and it will pull through all of them and then give you and create content for you. When the data is structured or unstructured, it can actually structure it for you based on the type of formats that you like. And this is where knowledge graphs are important. I know a lot of KM professionals are also information architecture professionals. They know how to organize content, information in general. Uh, Knowledge graphs are important, specifically in the context of AI, because that's what's going to allow us to see the relationships between the different topics that we deal with. And it will give you a visualization of all of that. So that's another topic that's very fascinating that you've probably delved into, that we could delve into some other time. Summarization and synthesis is really important also, because AI can condense large volumes of information. Volume is not an issue anymore. AI can go through millions or billions of data sets and then make connections, create numerical values, and then provide answers. think about the knowledge base that you built 10 years ago that you're still using. I mean, everything is, I mean, you have to deal with the content on a daily basis, and a lot of it is manual. If someone is looking for, is searching, they need to know exactly what they're looking for in order to find the information. AI removes that difficulty because it can, not only can it find process information quickly, but you can also design it in a way that you can create pipelines so that it can zero in on specific aspects of the information. There are other things like question answering, where you can banter with the AI. It can be used to actually tailor knowledge delivery based on somebody's individual needs. And you can also adapt to their learning styles so that you can enhance knowledge retention. So this is something that's really helpful in training context. Other things that we can mention here, semantic search. Now it is a real reality, so to speak, because AI actually understands the information, or is able to understand the information it's dealing with. Contextual awareness, that's kind of related to its understanding of the information. Intelligent filtering, so it can go through information and then identify what's outdated, what's irrelevant, and then give you the best, the best and most up-to-date information. Language, natural language processing here uh, is what is really changing the game, because we're going from keywords to natural language processing, where you can ask uh, real questions, real life questions, and then AI will just go ahead and then and then supply the information, or the information that you're looking for. Other uses quickly of AI, you can use AI to create knowledge and enhance it. So I like the idea of, and I've done this, I keep doing this now because I can save time in terms of ideation, brainstorming. So you put in an idea and then you see what AI would suggest. Content generation. Who needs to spend 15 hours or 2 days to come up with a couple of pages? You can do that with the help of AI quickly, and then you can QA it, and then move along. So AI becomes a partner. It becomes an assistant that can help with that. Personalized recommendations. It can learn who it's dealing with, it's interacting with, and actually provide some personalized recommendations. In terms of discovering knowledge, discovering and analyzing knowledge, AI is probably the best tool. So it can you can upload a recording and also ask it to decipher the information in there. Uh, Everything I'm talking about right now, there's something that you need to understand about how to do these things. That's the importance of prompt writing, because how do you get AI to create knowledge for you? How do you get it to discover knowledge? You can only get there if you know how to ask it to do it. This highlights the importance of expertise, because it's not just, you throw the technology out there and then you start using it, but you need to know how you use it. It's like reading those cardboard boxes that says handle with care. AI needs to be handled with care, and the care here is having the expertise, a certain level of expertise, so you know what you're looking for, first of all, and then to QA it, so to do quality assurance and verify the information that it's giving you on the other end. For learning, AI is also huge, because it can help with adaptive learning. You can do some virtual mentorship. And this is something that's very promising, specifically in the context of training. For example, within a customer service context, where you can create AI, you can create an AI agent that can do some role playing with an agent. Let's say you want to train the agent on how to handle disgruntled customers. So you can create an AI agent that is a disgruntled customer that will spew all sorts of things, and then the agent can interact with them through a call or whatever, and then that way it's easy because it's very difficult when you're training an agent to put them in the actual context. The first time they take a call like that, I mean, it gets panicky and it's very uncomfortable. But if they have the opportunity to be in a real life situation without having to deal with a real person, that's also very helpful, and AI can help with that. Now, let's look at practical strategies for AI integration, because you don't just launch into AI because it's out there. You have to have a plan. It's really important to have a plan. You need to know what you're doing and what you're doing it for. There, I've defined or I've come up with two streams, which I call exploration streams, because when a new technology comes up, you need to start exploring it to see what it can do for you based on the situation, the current situation you're in. Now, there are two things that AI is very useful for. And the first thing I'll call user focused, because users can use AI to retrieve knowledge. They can search, they can summarize, they can get very quick and accurate answers. Now, there's the content side of things where AI can be used to create, to generate content. We deal with standard operating procedures, guides, job aids. We deal with reference guides, all sorts of things. AI can actually help with that. You can add text and ask it to create a standard operating procedure based on a template that it already knows, and it will just create it for you. So you save time that way. But at the same time, you will have to do your due diligence and check the content to make sure that it aligns. The other thing is, with respect to content focused exploration, AI allows you to analyze and summarize meetings, for example, reports, learning design. I talked about that. So you can see these are the two exploration streams for knowledge management. When you were, there may be more, but these are the main ones that I discovered. User focus, what can the user get out of AI? And then content focus, how do the knowledge management practitioners who generate the content capture the knowledge? What can they get out of AI? Now, in order to embark on an AI journey, integration journey, there's some prerequisites. And here I will talk about use cases, the importance of use cases. Know what you are getting into AI for before you get into it. Don't get into it and then decide, oh, this is not for me. You have to have a plan. So I'll get through that and run some scenarios. Be prepared, and content is really the key here for us in knowledge management. And when I say content, it's the mixture, data, information, knowledge, and wisdom. And some things that are important to take into account is privacy and security. Now, why are use cases important? Because you cannot embark onto an AI journey without knowing why you are there. I mean, for knowledge management, I gave you two exploration streams: user focused, content focused. For the user, okay, I want our users to be able to um, retrieve knowledge whenever they need it, and I want the knowledge to be formatted in a certain way. And as a content creator, I want AI to be able to format or generate content in a certain way. So you have to come up with a use case. So a use case uh, uh, should rely on a few principles. It needs to be clear and testable. So clarity is very important. It needs to be problem solving. So why do you need AI for KM? So what problem are you looking to solve? It needs to be player identifying. Who is it destined to? Who is the audience, the intended audience? What tasks or specific activities are you trying to help um, resolve with AI? how do you measure all of this? So measurements are always important in KM. It tends to be the most challenging thing. I'm pretty sure Linda will tell you that, or Darcy Lemons, who has done some presentations on how do you measure the impact of KM. But it's really important to embark to focus on that. This is a formula of a use case. When you're coming up with a use case, you need to think, okay, in my role, I need to perform a specific action so that I can attain a certain goal. So just use this as the formula, and it will define very quickly what your intentions are and what you try to get out of AI. So now I'm going to give you an example. At the CMPA, we have membership administrators. They help uh, our members who are doctors um, uh, know about their scope of work and what type of work categories they need to be placed in. And when an MA, a membership administrator, gets a request, so they need to find the reliable information in our knowledge base. Why? So they can answer inquiries very quickly. So with the volume of information that they deal with, uh, the quickness with which that they need to find the information or answers is really important. It's a game changer. Now this is a very important not formula but use case for us. How can we get the right answers at the right time to the right people, and how can we do that quickly? Now, this is just like a full-blown uh, use case, an example. So as a membership administrator, my goal is to provide accurate and timely responses to member inquiries. To achieve this, I need a system that allows me to easily access and verify reliable type of work information so I can quickly answer questions and resolve issues for members. Now, why is this important? It is important because uh, what is the end game? The end game is member satisfaction or customer satisfaction. How do I get there? I get there by giving them the right answers at the right time and quickly. So all of those things are to be taken into account. Now we've been using systems. Those systems have been amazing, but now we're finding ways to actually better them with AI. Let's look at key success factors, and this is part of the preparedness for AI. So when you're embarking on an AI journey, it is important to, as you set out, to determine some key success factors. These are very common ones that you can consider. Accuracy and reliability, and we're talking about the accuracy and the reliability of the data that's going to be ingested in the AI, and then what the AI will yield as results. Responsiveness. How responsive is the system that kind of the AI tool? How responsive is it? Is there any lags? Is there any latency? That type of thing. So those things need to be taken into account from the get-go. Efficiency and productivity. Does the AI tool pass the test of efficiency and productivity? Is it taking us from 10 to 20 or even further? Findability, because we're dealing with knowledge management and knowledge retrieval, findability is the core, is this the most important part, because that's what we're looking for. We want to surface information quickly so that users can get there and then find the information they're looking for. But the users, in turn, they need to trust the information. So this is where it's important to make sure that this kind of ties with the accuracy and the reliability. Another important factor or criterion here is the human AI connection, because AI, let me tell you right away, is not meant to replace humans. AI wouldn't be around without humans. We created AI. So AI relies on us. So, and that human AI connection is really, really important. Now, what this gets at is the importance of even end users being able to provide feedback so that we can feed it back into the AI so that it gets better. So, and it's some kind of cycle. it never stops. So that is really important. So the human AI connection, it's a connection that's there that shouldn't be severed at all. Security, I mentioned that before. So you need to do your due diligence. Whatever system you end up using, what have you taken security into account? And by security, I also mean privacy. So information shouldn't be leaking out. It shouldn't be leaking in. Depending on the type of business that you're in, you may not. Not all AI solutions would work for you. Maybe you need to develop something in-house so you can preserve the security and the privacy of your information. All of that is important. Manageability. I'm going to get into some other secondary, what I call secondary success criteria, but manageability also should make you think about expandability or extensibility. So how easy is it to manage the system that you've created? Can it stand on its own? So those things are important to keep in mind so that you don't have to do a lot of changing, to go through a lot of changes every few months. So because you need some kind of balance, you need some kind of stability. So think about that. These are additional key performance indicators. Usability. This goes back to the users. How usable is the tool that you're looking to create or adopt? Has it been adopted? And what is the adoption supposed to look like? What work do you need? What amount of work do you need to do in order to ensure that it is adopted? It's always hard at the beginning of any journey like this where you adopt new technology to get everybody on board. So you have to start your change management upfront. Don't wait till it's about time to do that. You have to start. Change management starts on day one, basically. It starts on day one because, as I said, technology has this amazing ability to upend how we do things, uh, our common practices and all of that. It's going to change all of that. Don't take it for granted that people will adopt it in a heartbeat. Make sure that you keep that in mind. You start engaging people upfront, educating them about what's coming up, taking in some information from them, getting their initial input so that you can work all of that into it. That's going to ensure that you get client satisfaction later. And client satisfaction here is very subtle. Why? Because it's your first clients are, as a knowledge manager, your first clients are your user. But then the end user would be the client, the customer. So the quality of that is to be taken into account. You can think of return on investment, ROI. That's something that is a very common key performance indicator that may not apply to your situation if you're in a not-for-profit. And again, scalability and extensibility, which I will tie back to manageability. Now, let's talk about in our theme of preparedness. How do you prepare for uh, AI integration into KM, into knowledge management? Content is king. You cannot get around this. By content, I mean, all the data, the information, and the knowledge that will be created that will become content and wisdom. When you surface knowledge or transfer knowledge from subject matter experts, you have to turn that knowledge into content because that's what's going to make it workable. That's what's going to make it usable. So it's important to get your content in order. And there are a few imperatives. So I came up with the know, reflect, structure, remember. Know your content. It's really important that you know your content. Because if you don't know your content, you're not going to be able to test the AI tool appropriately. It is your content. You should know it from start to finish. You should know all of the subtleties, all the hidden things. That's going to allow you to actually work with any issues that the content has. Your content is a reflection, or the AI output will be the reflection of your content and the health of your content. We always talk about content health. What is content health? they also call it content hygiene. Is the content in good shape? That's very important because think of the idea of garbage in, garbage out. If you ingest bad content, you cannot expect good results or good answers to come out of it. It's very important to ensure that your content is healthy. By healthy content, we mean you need to avoid what they call rot. Rot means rot content. The R is redundant, the O stands for obsolete, and the T stands for trivial. So you need to make sure that your content is none of that. Basically, it is really important. But I'll tell you what, it's impossible not to have rot in your content. That's why we keep having a job, actually, because we need to clean things up all the time, and you need to work with a group of people to make sure that the content is up to date. There's a life cycle that's being applied, and there is a regular review. Through content teams, you can create content teams. You can automate this using some technological tools out there. Your content always needs attention. Always think about how you're organizing it, how you're structuring it. That's going to help curation a lot, make curation a lot easier. And this is where I can also talk about information architecture, because the structure that your content needs is determined um, by the categories that you create, the topics that you assign your content, so that from an organization point of view, you can tell, okay, this piece of content belongs to this topic, that belongs to this structure. That's what information architecture helps with. And now they've been talking a lot about knowledge architecture, which is actually more complex, because it takes it from the information realm, which you're dealing with pieces of data, to structures with knowledge, because knowledge is more structural than content, than information.
Hey,
And
Bad,
now
do
you
we?
have, yes.
I don't mean to interrupt you, but we have a very relevant question in the Q&A
Hmm.
right now that I think everyone would maybe like to hear just a little more detail about what you're just talking about with the information and knowledge architecture.
Hmm.
The question specifically is the need for taxonomy,
Yeah.
specifically in metadata creation, right? With all of this
Yeah.
integration with AI and KM. And I think some people are like, we know we need it, but do we
Yeah.
still have to do it the way we did it before, or can AI help us? Like, can you comment a little more on that detail?
Definitely. So you need to keep doing what you've been doing. If you already have a taxonomy structure in place, and you know the difference between taxonomies and ontologies. Ontologies come on top because it will identify the relationships between the topics, which is what we know as taxonomies. And then knowledge graphs are the visual representation of those relationships. Now, if you've had a system already, all you need to do, you can run it through AI so that it can help you visualize that. Or you can use it, and this is really important. I was going to get to this towards the end, but there is an AI engineer who works in the knowledge management field, who said there's no AI without IA, meaning there is no artificial intelligence without information architecture. And you can actually replace IA with knowledge architecture. It's really important because why is it important that you need information architecture, taxonomies, and all of that? It's going to serve as the scaffolding for your AI structure, the scaffolding. So it's really important to have that scaffolding in there. AI is very adept, in reading or making sense of all those relationships, because with AI, what happens? AI makes connections between values or numerical values or whatever other values out there. It can make sense of it, and then it can use that as the base for yielding answers. I hope I answered that, but that was a very timely question. Really important to think about it. There is no artificial intelligence without information architecture. There's no AI without IA. And by IA, we also mean knowledge architecture. So remember the content art attributes AI cares about. And I think I'm going to show you that. Some of those attributes are structure, just talked about that. The content should be structured. You need to have a scaffolding, basically. It needs to be specific so that it can be delivered appropriately. It needs to be consistent. So you shouldn't have um, loose ends basically with your content. Or if you can identify them and deal with them, that's the best way you can do it. Relevance is important. Completeness is also important, and transparency, because we deal with information sometimes that we restrict parts of information, and that may actually hinder the delivery of the knowledge and the completeness of it. So you see, transparency and completeness actually are related, because if you want the answers to be complete, then the information that is ingested needs to be transparent. For the transparency to happen, you have to make the information readability. I don't want to get into language, but here, plain language actually becomes very important. How do you make content readable? You make it plain. So it's easy to read, easy to understand, so it's easy to communicate. If it's easy for us humans, it's going to be very easy for AI. If it's very difficult, vague, or awkward, it's going to be awkward for AI. Remember, AI is the reflection of us because we created it, and we ingested stuff into it. And also, the content should be scalable. Now, all of that to say that if you have healthy content, and I know this is very tempting, very bon appetit, guys. Uh, if you have healthy content, you're going to get the right answers. If your content is rot, you're not going to get the right answers, and this is going to create frustration from the users. Now, I wanted to cover prompt writing real quick. I know we're maybe running out of time. Why is prompt writing important? I call prompt writing uh, uh, the secret sauce of AI. It's important for the user to know how to write prompts. Why is it important? You need to train your future users, AI users, in prompt writing. Why? I like using this Microsoft analogy. They say prompt writing is like building a sandwich. So when you are getting a sandwich, you like to choose your type of bread. You like to choose your type of cheese. Don't choose provolone. It just tastes less for me, in my opinion. And then you have to choose your the type of lettuce you want, the type of condiments you want. You have to choose the type of um, uh, everything else that you need. Do you want a double decker? Uh, that type of thing. All of that is important. That's going to determine the type of taste how much you're gonna enjoy your sandwich. Prompt writing is like that. You have to put not the ingredients, but all the elements in there so that the AI can go and then find the right information for you. So that is really, really, really important, and you need to train your end users in that. So prompt writing really should be a focus. I was having a conversation with a colleague of mine who is very active in AI, and she was mentioning that prompt engineering is that. What is the difference between prompt writing and prompt engineering? Prompt writing is what the user does, and prompt engineering is what the content creators do on the back end. Uh, this has been very big up to this point, but it's being challenged. Why is it being challenged? It's because the AI tools and systems are getting better. So they may not need to be trained in prompts. Uh, they can understand. So the user will still need to write prompts, but the systems themselves may not may not need any help in that regard. But keep in mind, prompt writing is one of the most important aspects of the AI journey. Speaking of which, I want to share with you what a typical AI journey, integration journey looks like from a knowledge management perspective. So the journey would always start with identifying a gap. We already know that from our knowledge management work. When we're trusted with a project, that's what we do. We identify gaps. Then we collect information to try to understand what's going on. Then we have a plan. So in this case, it will be coming up with, using the taxonomies and things like that to come up with a graph. So we have an idea. We need also to disambiguate, meaning what belongs, what doesn't belong. We need to clarify a few things. We need to analyze also things. At the same time, we need to have a map of experts. We need to locate the experts or the subject matter experts who can help with issues when they emerge. At the same time, you need to make sure that you can optimize uh, knowledge retrieval and search. Because let me be blunt with you, knowledge management is built around findability, searchability, and findability. Because people are always looking for information, they're looking for knowledge. How do we surface that information so that it's easy for them to find it? The next thing that's really important is the choice of the platform. Okay, what platform are you using? Obviously, I'm not a vendor, but you have a lot of vendors out there who would give you. So the choices are very many. So you need to make the right choice based on security, privacy, and the type of business that you're in. Also, make sure that once you pick the right platform, that you put together a feedback mechanism so that you hear from the end users. This will necessitate basically training and doing all of those. So all those things are involved in this journey, but it is important to make sure that you are getting input from people, and then there's a feedback mechanism that's in place. Continuous learning and evolution, that's really important, but because that's how you're going to evolve your AI integration. The technology is evolving by the day. 6 months ago, they were talking about things that look weird nowadays, or look very passe, so to speak, right now. So you will need to keep staying up to date with all the information that's out there. Now, before I leave you, I want to share some pearls of wisdom on AI. And I have some quotes in here and some thoughts of my own. I think AI, artificial intelligence, is a boon for knowledge management. It's completely changing the way that we do knowledge management. Uh, that said, it's not changing our core principles. Remember what I said about people, process, technology, and culture being the undercurrent. That's never going away. In order to take advantage of artificial intelligence, actually, you always need to go from there: people, process, technology, and all of and also take into account the culture piece. AI should support decision making and not replace critical thinking. AI is not replacing critical thinking. I know they're working on models that can think critically, but most of the critical thinking, I mean, will be done by humans. So AI shouldn't replace that. It's not going to replace that. They will try, but I personally believe that because we created it. As humans, we have so much critical and innovation thinking to do, that we shouldn't waste time on finding references. This came from a conversation that I had with my colleague Patrick, who said to me, "I don't have time to go and sift through items to find references. AI can do it for me. I need to focus most of my time on critical thinking and innovation," which is true. We have so much information out there. Let's let technology find it for us, but let's do the critical thinking on how we use it. All right. And AI will not replace you. So it's a reflection of our collective knowledge. And this is what Louis Goldberg, who is a knowledge management personality, calls a human database. AI is based on the human database. Without the human database, there's no AI. So that's important to think about. And AI is not a replacement tool; it is an enhancement tool. I have evolved on this, actually, because I don't think of AI as a tool anymore. I think of AI as a partner, as an assistant. So that's really important to think about. So, but it's not meant to replace us. It's meant to shoulder us or accompany us and help us. And again, there's no AI without IA. IA standing for, standing for information architecture. You can replace that with uh, knowledge architecture. Now, what is the outlook? I'll finish with this practical advice. Number one, don't boil the ocean. Don't boil the ocean. Plan, explore, pilot. Take your time. You don't need to rush to find the right solution. Take your time. Do your due diligence. All right, it's really important. Uh, it's also always important to start small. Focus on quick wins. Remember what I said about the use cases. So use cases. Go by use cases. You come up with a use case, and then you look at the AI solution that can help with that, and you move to the next one. And you can pilot this by you going through teams. You start with one team, it works out, you learn a lot from it, and then you apply those learnings to the next team, and it gets better until you expand and evolve it. Again, content is king. With good content, you're gonna get right answers. Number four, don't nibble around the edges. Don't sit out this AI craze that's going on. Try to learn. If you're not interested, you're afraid about it, you still need to learn to see how it functions because it's here to stay. It's not going to go away. And you will need to contend with it at some point. The last thing I'll mention is that the sky is the limit because the way that this thing is evolving is crazy. So there changes all the time, and it's going to be going to allow us to do amazing things. But at the same time, we need to be careful, and we need to be very thoughtful about the process. And with that, I'll yield back to Linda.
It was so good. I'm just watching if you could see all the chat that's happening. This is why I love our KM audiences. Thank you so much, Badu. And
You're
we
very
actually
welcome.
we actually have three questions in the Q&A, and I don't know that you'll be able to get to all of them, but we could send them to you and you could give us a little bit of a written response, and we can provide that to people when we send out the information, if that's
Yeah,
okay.
for sure, for
Okay,
sure.
awesome. But yeah, some great comments in the chat as well, which so everyone knows we do take the chat discussions and make sure we weave that into our summary article as well. No names, no companies, it's all anonymized, but just to capture some of the great conversations that are happening. So very, very well done. One
Thank you.
question someone did ask, I'm going to grab this one first because I think it might resonate with people. A lot of what you talked about today um, feels like it's really good to apply when you're talking about something that's already maybe explicit. So, can you speak to the concept of applying some of what you're doing with the tacit? Where do you start with that? What's behind people's eyes and between their
Yeah.
ears, right? The stuff in their heads. How do you start with the tacit piece first and then get to using AI to help with that component as well?
Oh, and that's something that I'm very passionate about right now. I've been working on. Also, this is an area of experimentation for me. So, because of the pandemic, we started using recordings a lot. So, and like you said, you shouldn't let your colleagues walk out the door before profiling their knowledge. So,
Mhm.
subject matter experts, specifically if someone has spent like 15, 20 years with the company, uh, and I learned part of this from APQC, actually, the knowledge transfer certification, where it's important actually to interview people and have conversations with people, subject matter experts, and you document those conversations. You can document the recording, and then you take the recording. Or the script, not the script, what do you call that? The transcript of that, and you can work with the transcript by using some astute prompt writing. You can get AI to kind of come up with trends. It can analyze the information. Think about what I said about analysis and summarization. AI can do a wonderful job with that. And I think, if you're dealing with a knowledge transfer situation, it starts with human to human people. We're dealing with people, very important. So you converse with them, you grab all the information, you store it, then you start working with the information. AI will kind of decipher, will process that information and then format it for you based on what you need. I hope that makes sense.
I like that. That's a great explanation. And there were a couple other questions as well that were a little more specific. So I think we're going to send those to you and get those
Super.
provided to everybody, give you a chance to write up some responses. But this was amazing. Thank you everyone who joined us today. Badu, wonderful job. Such
My pleasure.
insights and what a great story you told from beginning to end. So thank you for sharing that. And we look forward to seeing everybody, hopefully, who's a member, join us in a couple weeks for a roundtable, or we'll see you on a future webinar as well. But thank you so much for joining us. Have a wonderful day, everyone.
Thank you.